A very special podcast today. We have Nate and Reese from Hyrecar, and we'll be talking everything about renting and leasing, also some delivery tips and tricks. Welcome to the podcast, Nate and Reese.
Hey guys, I'm Reese. I am the director of marketing at Hyrecar, and fun fact is I was actually born on Christmas.
That's awesome.
Share the same birthday as Jesus.
Yeah, that's great. Two gifts. So,
hey guys, my name's Nate Ryan. I'm the VP of marketing here at Hyrecar. Couple fun facts. I also have a holiday birthday. It's actually a requirement for the marketing team. You have to have a holiday birthday. I was born on 4th of July. And another fun fact is I was actually the first person to join Hyrecar outside of the two co-founders.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I was working with the two co-founders out of a Starbucks for about 6 or 8 months.
That is awesome.
Cool.
So, where can our users find more information about Hyrecar?
Just go to hyrecar.com. Everything will be there. We also have a podcast, Mobility Revolution. Check that out. There's a lot of great information there as well.
Links in the description below.
Awesome.
And of course, we have Brandon up there in what Red Wings jersey.
Red Wings. I'm from Detroit, so born, not raised, but born.
I was going to say, you might be confused with some Gridwisers because everyone thinks you're in Chicago.
I am in Chicago, but born in Detroit.
Okay, so Nate, Reese, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. Could you tell us a little more about Hyrecar?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hyrecar is a car sharing platform specifically for rideshare, food, grocery, and package delivery drivers. So gig workers essentially can visit the marketplace to rent a privately or commercially owned vehicle in their area so that they can begin working with any gig service like Uber, Lyft, Postmates, Instacart, Amazon Flex, etc. It's a dual-sided platform, so meaning that car owners, fleet and car dealerships can also list their idle or depreciating vehicles, if you will, and rent them out to drivers on our platform as a means to create additional income streams.
That is so awesome. And I'm sure a lot of our Gridwisers out there who are curious or on the cusp of exploring rental services themselves, what's the biggest benefit to renting a car from Hyrecar versus using your own?
Yeah, so essentially, a huge benefit of renting with Hyrecar is the flexibility. We only require a 2-day minimum. Drivers can get started for as little as 2 days. They can drive for as long as they like to. They can extend their rental daily. They're eligible to receive, any bonus, through the rideshare gig services, as opposed to some of the other rental solutions offered by other, businesses like Uber and Lyft, where they may not be eligible to receive those incentives. Our platform is also agnostic, meaning that drivers can drive for any gig service and they're not actually binded into one at a time.
That's like so cool. That's like the coolest part, Brandon, I think, is the fact that you're not bound to one specific platform.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like we've been kind of saying, it's just like drivers are on multiple platforms. We were talking to a driver earlier today. He was on Uber, but he also did Uber Eats. He was doing Lyft, looking into getting on board with Grubhub. Would already been on board with Grubhub if they hadn't so many drivers already. But then, he's looking at Postmates. I might have convinced him to do Instacart. So everyone is doing everything now. So it's like, it doesn't make a lot of sense for drivers to lock themselves into, I have to drive for Lyft or I have to drive for Uber, when what you really have to do is drive for the service that makes you the most money. So
we always talk about not putting all your eggs in one basket, and this is like a prime example of not doing that. And I think drivers who do diversify their income streams are making the most money. I think we have data to back that, Brandon.
Yeah, I don't have it on hand, so thanks for putting me on the spot there. But we definitely do understand. I mean, drivers that drive for multiple services, it's a no-brainer. Like they're making more. So, that's really interesting to hear you guys. Obviously you guys have that ability, what is also really interesting, I think, is the fact that, okay, you have like this kind of like 2-day minimum, right? So it sounds like if I'm just trying to test the waters a little bit, just kind of understand, hey, do I want to do this? Hyrecar could be a pretty good option then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a prime example of someone who would benefit from using Hyrecar, as well as someone who may have a car in the shop temporarily, and ride sharing or food and grocery delivery is their primary source of income. They need a vehicle to continue earning, so we can provide them with that solution short term so they can get back on the road.
Yeah, and there's actually, to add to that, there's a big demographic that also does ride sharing or delivery part time. So maybe they do have a job during the week, and on the weekends they want to drive for, I don't know, all day Saturday and Sunday, and they rent the car for 2 days over the weekend, take it back, and then they commute back to their jobs during the week.
That
Gotcha.
sounds like an awesome use case.
Yeah,
and
that's like something that I would do, because like I live in Chicago. I don't have a car because I don't need a car. So if I wanted to all of a sudden do rideshare, it's like, okay, what would I do? Am I gonna commit to kind of like a long term, at least like a month or so? I think with a lot of other services of trying to do rideshare, or am I just gonna like rent the car for a couple of days, see if I want to do that? So I never thought about that. That's good.
Right. Yeah. Majority of the services we see out there are roughly around like a week minimum. So having that flexibility to do, 2 days up to 5 days, 6 days, is really beneficial to a lot of people who are out there on the road.
Right. Yeah. I definitely can see that. I think what, most drivers think about when they think about, these rental companies is the rent versus buy question, right? Does it make sense for me to rent from a Hyrecar, a Hertz, or whoever, or should I just go ahead and just buy my own car or lease my own car, whatever that may be? What did you guys' thought process there? Obviously, you built your business on that. So how do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, it totally depends on the driver situation. In the sense, like, for example, we're enabling drivers who don't have a car at all, or maybe their car doesn't qualify. Their car might be in the shop temporarily, or they simply just don't want to use their own vehicle to put mileage on it. So we're giving them an opportunity to get behind the wheel of a car within 24 to 48 hours, so they can get back on the road. We also work with some car dealerships on the platform who in some cases offer rent-to-own programs through the dealership, meaning that the driver can actually rent a vehicle from the dealer and earn cash in the gig economy and save enough to put some money down towards a down payment on the vehicle.
Gotcha. And you guys also, I mean, a huge piece of vehicle expenses for rideshare and delivery drivers, especially rideshare drivers, is that maintenance piece, right? Mm-hmm. Which I mean, I would assume with Hyrecar that you don't have to pay.
Right. So when renting with Hyrecar, typically the owner covers the cost of the maintenance on the vehicle, and that's why it's so great that dealerships are really taking the opportunity to work with gig economy workers, because they have the infrastructure and resources needed to do a lot of the maintenance and servicing in-house and at a cheaper cost than somebody else would. And we worked out partnerships with like Jiffy Lube and things like that that help sort of decrease that cost for the owner. But really, a rideshare driver drives, I believe the statistic is like 6 times the amount of miles compared to an average person, which means you're looking at oil changes pretty much almost monthly. You're going through tires faster, and so at the end of the day, you're probably saving close to a couple $1,000s in all-out maintenance. And also, if you have an older car, it's going to require a little bit more servicing and things like that.
That's super interesting, because it's not just, I wouldn't imagine it's just like 6 times more normal driving. I mean, rideshare is usually in the city, so you're looking at stopping and starting and stopping and starting, all that wear and tear, brake, dust collecting in your rims, and like just so much collective damage to your car. Not to mention all the passengers slamming your door shut left and right.
Exactly. All the car washes you have to get to keep the car looking good.
That's like Gridwise Jay's his
Biggest pet peeve.
Biggest pet peeve. Actually,
Horrible.
you also
Huge.
hate when people like slide across
Is
the
that
back of your
weird?
seat. That's weird. I've never.
Do you think
Sliding
that's
across
weird?
the back seat?
Yeah. So I dislike it when someone gets in the vehicle, if there's multiple people that are getting in, and then they slide across to make room for the other person. Because I have this, like, what happens is they get their shoes all over the back of your seats, right? And they scuff and everything up, and it's just horrible. It's a horror because I don't drive like an SUV, so there's not room to just walk around. You have to bend all weird kinds of ways.
Do you have signs up in the car? Pick up your feet when you scoot.
I honestly, it got to the
problem.
point. My remedy was doors always locked. I roll the windows down. I give them instructions. Can you please walk around to the other side of the car, open the door? Because it makes total sense, but nobody does it. I don't even do it. I complain about it. I've taken Ubers before. I've done the same thing. I've scooted across the back.
It's
Got my
just
buddy's
easy to
shoes
get
all
in
over.
on the side. It's easy to get in on like the side that you come to.
It
I don't.
is, so
I actually don't. Do
Nobody
that.
thinks about it.
I always walk across to like
Bless you, dude, because that's what
the-
you got to think.
the passenger side because
Yeah.
It's weird to sit behind the driver, isn't it? Like,
Well, I mean, kind
is
of.
it? It's
but
weird
like,
to me.
I think so.
kind of. I don't care what anyone says, but like,
I think it's.
I
weird.
guess it would be weird, like you're sitting behind them all, because then the driver can't see you because you're looking in the rearview mirror and you can't see anything. But let us know in the comment section, Gridwisers, if what side of the seat do you prefer your passengers and your pet peeves? Right. So yeah, super cool that we were talking about saving all that maintenance, and I think you brought up another cool, interesting fact is that you're partnering with car dealerships. Now this blew my mind because I bought a certified pre-owned vehicle myself, and I understood immediately when I paid almost damn near full price that the car dealerships, they do this. They have loaner vehicles and leased out vehicles. They lease primarily to just make more money because what they do is the leasee, is that the right word, pays for all of the depreciation, and that's what's going to get you on a car that's coming out in the first few years. It's the depreciation cost, not to mention all that maintenance cost, right? So this essentially, that's what car dealerships are doing. They're not losing money. So I want to clear this up with Gridwisers that are thinking, well, why would a car dealership lease out vehicles to Hyrecar for Hyrecar to rent out to gig workers? Well, it makes total sense because they're making more money at the end, because what's happening is we're paying for all of the depreciation, all of the maintenance work, and then
Yeah, let me add to that. So there's actually a sort of a myth that miles mean depreciation. Hyrecar has, because there's when you really look at it, the cost between a car with 20,000 miles on it and 30,000 miles on it is actually kind of nominal, and the new term we've coined here at Hyrecar is miles means money. And the reason why that is because now a driver can take a $20,000, a car with 20,000 miles on it that isn't selling, put it onto the Hyrecar platform. And just to correct you a little bit, they don't actually lease the car to Hyrecar. Hyrecar is just the middleman. So the whole transaction happens between the driver and the owner. We provide the insurance for the drivers. But now the dealer can take that car with 20,000 miles, put it on the Hyrecar platform, rent it out for 10,000 miles, and then take that car and turn it into a CPO if that's something that they do. And that's where the real benefit comes in. And so the amount of money that the dealer is earning on the rental is actually offsetting all of that depreciation, which at the end of the day, what they're going to get for a CPO really isn't much different from what they would have gotten at the 20,000 miles. But now they've been able to actually create another revenue stream for their business by putting that extra 10,000 miles on it with a rideshare driver who's renting from Hyrecar.
So it's a win-win situation. You have the dealerships utilizing all of this inventory that otherwise would just be sitting in an empty lot, and the ones that your customers, the rideshare or gig workers that rent from Hyrecar, benefit from the no maintenance costs and the depreciation that they don't put on their own vehicles because the dealerships would eat that cost.
Exactly, and it provides potentially newer vehicles for the rideshare drivers. So we have a lot of dealerships who are putting 2018, 2019, and 2020s on the platform.
2 days. You're telling me I can rent a 2020 for a 2 day minimum?
Yeah, they go fast though.
Just out of curiosity, what kind of makes and models do we have on the platform?
You just want to fill out a sign up form right now, or
So I'm asking.
No. Yeah,
Plug it.
It's all of the vehicles on our platform, or we have a pretty wide variety, but we encourage the owners and the dealers to list those vehicles that are in high demand from drivers. Obviously, the ones that are great on gas, have space for luggage. I'm sure you guys know all valid points around the vehicles that drivers like driving the most. So they do provide us with some great quality cars, the newer models, and drivers love it.
Yeah, and for a long time, the Prius has been the most popular car on our platform, just for gas mileage reasons. But as we start to see food and package delivery become a much more viable option for a lot of rideshare drivers to switch to, you start to see some slightly bigger vehicles hit the platform and become a little bit more popular.
What's popular right now? What make and model?
The Prius right now, still number one. And actually the Hyundai Sonata, which is
The Hyundais.
Yeah, because they got a little bit more trunk space.
Yeah, those are pretty big.
And then we see a lot of minivans actually as well.
There's some minivans get some pretty decent mileage. There's a couple of them out there.
Well, I would never drive a minivan around. I'll tell you that right now.
You don't want it bad enough.
Personal preference.
That actually brings up like a pretty interesting question, because obviously the shift in terms of more drivers doing delivery has been driven by COVID-19. How have you seen drivers reacting to the coronavirus situation?
Yeah, so it was I think initially tough for a lot of people. Those who are hardcore full-time gig economy workers adapted very easily, and they knew, all right, I need to switch to delivery right now, and I'll do Postmates. What we've seen though is a lot of people, there's a notion out there that you just can't make as much doing delivery as you can for rideshare, and that may have been true pre-COVID, but there's an interesting statistic that came out is 1/3 of all Americans during COVID-19 ordered delivery for the first time, like grocery delivery, food delivery, whatever it may be. So the industry, it just boomed. And what we're seeing is drivers making that switch. We're making anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a week. And at first we thought like, wow, that's crazy. And so we just kept talking to drivers and talking to more drivers, and they continually kept validating that statistic. And so now you saw this giant flood of people switching from rideshare to delivery. And we had our owners on the platform encouraging that, and then our internal team as well, helping drivers make that switch comfortably. And a lot of people, and like you guys said, got stuck at the beginning because places like Postmates, DoorDash, Grubhub, they got so many people, they started waitlisting.
Yeah.
And so more and more people trying to switch over to Instacart. But with Instacart, we heard around the street that doing your first deliveries on Instacart is actually a little difficult if you're not very savvy with where everything is placed in the grocery store and finding substitutions and things like that. And so we provided a lot of encouragement and resources to our drivers to help them as much as possible, trying to figure out how to navigate that switch, and everybody adopted very well.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to be sticking with delivery post-COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see demand, with COVID, I think you saw demand shift pretty significantly away from obviously rideshare into either food delivery or grocery delivery. And now you're seeing, I think, we did a study in terms of, and we found similar, amount of people doing food delivery. Our study actually showed that people are going to continue to do that. They're not going to, definitely from a grocery delivery, I don't think that's going to stop. Our studies don't show that. From a food delivery standpoint, I think you're still going to see some pretty sustained demand there. But you're also seeing rideshare demand starting to come back as well. So you're seeing like demand from like the gig economy really kind of all around now, starting to pick up pretty significantly. So interesting to see.
Going along with that, do you have any tips and tricks for some Gridwisers who might be thinking about delivery or who already are doing delivery?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess to kind of touch on what we were just talking about actually is, definitely want to try and sign up for as many of the platforms as you can. Because if a situation comes out of nowhere, like COVID, and you only are signed up with Uber or Lyft, we had drivers that were telling us that they couldn't actually get signed up and approved for services like Instacart or Postmates or DoorDash around different cities across the U.S. So that obviously put a halt on their earnings for maybe a couple days or a week because they weren't actually allowed to get approved. So we definitely recommend getting signed up and approved for as many platforms as you can, even if you don't need it, because you never know what'll happen and you always want to be prepared.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things too is focusing on customer service. So making sure, double checking orders, making sure everything's within the order, and communicate with the other person on the end who's receiving the delivery. One of the interesting things we heard, we recently interviewed a longtime DoorDash driver. He's done like 6,000 to 10,000 deliveries with DoorDash, and one of the things he said to look out for is tip baiting. Right now, that's an interesting thing happening, where customers will put an absurd tip in order to get their delivery as fast as possible, and then later change that tip. So keep an eye out for that, because that could be really demoralizing to see a $20 tip and the next thing you know you get stiffed.
Yeah, Instacart in general, they've got some work to do with some of their systems, because what's also going around is like the bots just kind of stealing all the good trips and things like that. So they've got a couple of funny issues Instacart does that they need to work on.
Those are some great tips. I can imagine the fix for that on their side would just charge everything up front. So if you mean to do a $20 tip, you get charged.
Why doesn't you don't see that problem with like DoorDash, like tip baiting? It's like this. It's like the same. It's like the same. It's the same thing, right?
I think it has something to do with groceries. I feel like some people view some supermarkets as just so terribly inefficient that they would never take that trip. Or depending on the order size, like you get like a 4 truckload order to do the grocery shopping, so then you have to tip bait. Or not, you don't have to tip. You have to tip to get someone Instacart to accept that.
Yeah, and I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
I guess there's like the variable with Instacart as opposed to DoorDash. With the grocery stores, I guess there's always the chance that you're not going to be able to find the item that the person wants, or maybe like the specific brand or quantity, and that might have something to do with getting tipped the amount that you were promised. I don't know. That's just an idea that came to mind.
Yeah.
No, totally valid. Like if you're an Instacarter and you see an order for, I don't know, 50 crates of muscle milk. Like, would you pick that order up?
I would need to see the person on the end of that order.
Eggs.
Yeah, that's a horrible order. 100 cartons of eggs.
On sale.
You're
on sale.
asking
Just set up for
problems.
disaster.
Yeah, you're asking for trouble. I would also think that Instacart was like way more unprepared for like the surge in demand than I think a lot of the other services were as well. Because like an Instacart, that's a more time consuming trip, right? Like that's gonna take you like at least like an hour and a half. Whereas a lot of Postmates drivers can just like bang, 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 bang. So like you are gonna need more Instacarters than you need Postmates, and they were probably just like ill prepared. So I could see that the demand factor also coming into play.
Oh, completely. Another thing too, and not to really be a kind of a suck up here, but no, but really using a thing like Gridwise is an awesome way to really maximize your earnings and fully understand how much you're making at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Totally agree. It's always good practice to do that.
Yeah. You gotta know. You gotta know what you're earning. You gotta know what services is where you're earning. So, and that's key for now. Gonna be key going forward.
All right. Anything else we missed?
I don't think so.
That was great. Thanks, guys.
Once again, this is Jay.
And Brandon.
And thanks so much to Hyrecar, Nate and Reese. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you on the next podcast.
Take care.